Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm very pleased today to introduce and express my support for Mr. Ryan Nelson, who President Trump nominated at the urging of Senator Crapo and myself, pursuant to the constitutional duty we have of advice and consent. He has been nominated to serve as Circuit Judge for the United States Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. I'm delighted to recognize Ryan's family, who's with him here today. They take up the entire front row here behind me. His wife, Barbara, his 7 children, Barrett, Ashley, Sophie, Savannah, Olivia, Russell, and Lucy. And his parents on the far end down here, Doug and Billy Nelson, all of who made the trip from Idaho to be with us at this confirmation hearing today. I look forward to working with Senator Crapo and this committee to bring this nomination to the Senate floor as soon as possible. Ryan is a 6th-generation Idahoan. Now, for those of you who come from states on the East Coast, you know, 6th generation isn't much to brag about, but in as much as the state of Idaho isn't that old, 6 generations is a long time in Idaho. Ryan has a deep understanding of the unique issues involving land and water that directly impact the West and are so important to our Western culture and our Western values. Born and raised in Idaho, Ryan earned a BA from Brigham Young University in 1996, and in 1999 he graduated with honors from BYU's J. Reuben Clark School of Law. Following graduation, he clerked for Judge Karen Henderson in the D.C. Circuit. After clerking on the Iran-United States Claims Tribunal in The Hague, Ryan worked in private practice before returning to public service, working at the Department of Justice. Serving as the Deputy Assistant Attorney General for the Department of Justice's Environmental and Natural Resources Division, Ryan oversaw the appellate, natural resources, and wildlife sections, where he gained a deep understanding and appreciation for natural resources and environmental law. This will serve him well as a circuit judge for the Ninth Circuit, since we all know that the Ninth Circuit is ground zero for most of those kinds of decisions in America, since the vast, vast majority of public lands in America are located in the Ninth Circuit. During this time, Ryan oversaw more than 500 appeals in all appellate courts in the United States and personally argued 13 appeals in 9 of the circuit courts in the country, representing the United States' interests in natural resource, Indian law, constitutional, administrative law, and complex environmental statutory questions. After moving back to Idaho, Ryan has served as general counsel for one of Idaho's largest and most respected companies, Melaleuca, where he oversees their global regulatory compliance, corporate compliance, human resources, litigation, and corporate strategic planning. After going through all of this, I'm going to steal from President Trump, with apologies to President Trump, his conclusion as I was sitting there listening to him introduce the nominee for the U.S. Supreme Court, Judge Kavanaugh, and that is to say, this man's a man out of central casting. You really couldn't find a person for this spot on the Ninth Circuit with a better background than Ryan Nelson has. In light of his qualifications and the outstanding record of public service, I respectfully ask this committee to send this nomination to the full Senate for confirmation. Chairman Crapo, thank you again for holding this hearing this morning, and I yield the floor.
Thank you, Senator Risch.